It's just itching. Probably dry skin, part of getting older, right? Well, not always. Sometimes itching isn't just an inconvenience. It can be an early warning sign of something much more serious, including cancer. And the sooner you recognize it, the better your chances of protecting your health and peace of mind. Today we're going to talk about 5 types of itching that you should never ignore or simply blame on age. You'll learn when your body might be trying to warn you and what you can do about it right now, without panic, but with real care for yourself. Let's start with something that often gets overlooked. Number 1. Persistent itching without any visible rash or bites, especially around the back, chest, or legs. Now I know what you might be thinking. Dry skin, laundry detergent, maybe even nerves. And sure, sometimes it is just that. But if the itching keeps coming back, doesn't respond to creams, and you can't see any redness or bumps, your body may be trying to tell you something more serious. In people over 60, our skin naturally loses moisture, and circulation slows a bit, which can cause itching. But when the itch seems to come from underneath the skin and doesn't improve with usual remedies, we have to think a little deeper. One potential cause that surprises many of my patients is lymphoma, a type of cancer that begins in the lymph system. And one of its early, quieter symptoms can be exactly that: unexplained itch without a rash. I'll share something from my own practice. A few years ago, I was working with a patient named Helen, a 72-year-old retired librarian from Flagstaff, Arizona. She was sharp, organized, and not the type to run to the doctor for every little thing. She came in for her yearly checkup and casually mentioned that her back had been itching for a few weeks. "I thought it was my new pajamas or the dry air," she said, "but I've changed detergents, used lotion, and it still keeps me up at night." I remember something about the way she described it, not painful, not red, but persistent, made me dig a little deeper. We did a full workup, including blood tests and imaging, and sure enough, early-stage lymphoma showed up. Helen was shocked, but because we caught it early, she was able to start treatment right away. Today she's doing well, still emails me, updates on her garden, and thanks me every year for that appointment. And she's not the only one. A gentleman named Harold, 68, from Des Moines, had similar symptoms. His lower legs were itching so much he started wearing long socks to keep from scratching at night. His diagnosis came a little later, but even then, the awareness of his symptoms helped guide him to care. What stuck with me in both cases was how quietly the body spoke, and how easy it is to ignore it when it whispers instead of shouts. What I always recommend, and it's a simple step, is this. If you've had unexplained itching for more than 2 weeks, and you've ruled out common causes like dry skin, allergies, or soaps, please talk to your doctor. You don't need to panic, but you do need to take it seriously. Even if it's nothing dangerous, getting reassurance is better than sitting with uncertainty, and if it is something, catching it early makes all the difference. Write down where it itches when it happens and what you've already tried that can help your doctor see the full picture right away. I always tell my patients this: your body is like an old friend. It doesn't always speak loudly, but it always tells the truth if you're willing to listen. You deserve peace of mind, and you deserve to act on the little things before they become big ones. One small checkup can protect many beautiful tomorrows, and you're worth that every single day. Another one I want to bring up, and it's more common than people realize, is this: itching that gets worse at night, especially when you're lying down. Now sure, it's easy to assume that night itching is just dry skin or maybe anxiety, but when it keeps happening night after night and you don't see any rash or bug bites, especially if it's concentrated on your chest, legs, or back, that's a red flag worth listening to. In older adults, changes in how our bodies regulate temperature and circulation can make nighttime symptoms more noticeable. But what many people don't know is that some types of blood cancers, like lymphoma or leukemia, can cause itching that becomes much worse at night. This isn't about being dramatic or fearful, it's about being informed. Cancer cells sometimes release proteins that affect the nerves in your skin, especially when you're warm and still, like when you're in bed. If you're losing sleep over this kind of itch, it's time to pay attention. Let me share a story that stayed with me. A few years ago, I was working with a man named Frank, 68 years old, a retired electrician from a small town in Ohio. He came into the clinic mostly because his wife insisted. He told me, half laughing, that he felt like he was going crazy every night. As soon as he lay down, his chest and shins would start itching like mad. There were no bumps, no rash, and he'd changed his soap, sheets, even tried sleeping. In a recliner, nothing worked. It had been going on for about a month. During our conversation, I could tell he wasn't the type to complain. That's why his story stood out. I ordered some blood work, just to be safe. A few days later, the labs came back, and we saw signs of early chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Frank was stunned. But because we caught it so early, he started treatment with a great specialist, and now 2 years later he's stable, feeling good, and still gardening like it's a full-time job. That case reminds me every day, when something disrupts your rest, it's not a small thing, it's a signal. I've since had 2 other patients, Joyce, 74 from Tampa, and Edward, 70 from Sacramento, both come in with the exact same complaint. Neither had any visible rash, both were diagnosed early, and both are doing well. What usually helps in these situations, and what I always recommend, is simple. Pay close attention to the pattern. If the itching mainly happens at night, especially after lying down and it keeps you from sleeping, bring that up to your doctor clearly. Describe when it starts, how long it lasts, and what you've tried. Those details matter. Sometimes we need to dig a little deeper than just blaming dryness or nerves, and the right information helps us do that. And here's what I want you to remember. You have the right to sleep peacefully. Your rest is not a luxury, it's a foundation for your health. If something is stealing your rest, it deserves attention. You don't have to power through or brush it off. You've earned the right to feel safe, calm, and well. Even the quietest discomfort can be the start of a big change, and that change can begin with one honest conversation. Here's another one I'd like you to pay close attention to. When itching comes along with unintentional weight loss and a deep sense of tiredness. I know how easy it is to explain these things away. We often hear, "I'm just getting older," or "my appetite isn't what it used to be," or even, "I guess I've been a little more tired lately." But when those 3 symptoms show up together, a persistent itch with no rash, noticeable weight loss without trying, and that heavy fatigue that doesn't go away with rest, it's time to stop and listen. In older adults, we expect some shifts in appetite or energy. That's part of the natural aging process. But when the scale drops several pounds in a short time, and you're not sure why, and especially if your skin is itchy and you can't pinpoint a reason, those are signs your body may be dealing with something more serious under the surface. One possibility we have to consider, and I say this not to scare you but to keep you safe, is cancer of the pancreas or liver. Both of these can cause toxins to build up in the body, which leads to itching, and they often affect digestion and energy levels before any pain shows up. I remember working with a patient named Nancy. She was 75, retired, living in Sarasota, Florida. She'd always been active, kept a little vegetable garden, walked every morning with her neighbor, but over a few months she started feeling off. Nothing huge at first, just a little itch on her arms and chest, then a loss of appetite, and she noticed her clothes were fitting looser. When she came in, she mentioned she'd lost nearly 12 pounds without trying. Her primary doctor initially thought it might be stress or thyroid related and told her to keep an eye on it. But Nancy trusted her gut. She came back a few weeks later and asked for more testing. We ran liver function panels, ordered an abdominal ultrasound, and that's when we saw something suspicious. Further scans confirmed a small tumor in her pancreas. It wasn't what any of us wanted to find, but because she caught it early, she was able to start treatment right away. It gave her time, quality time, and most importantly, it gave her answers. She later told me the thing that pushed her to act was the itch. She said it felt like her skin was trying to talk to her, and I believe it was. What often helps, and what I tell many of my patients, is to write it all down in one place. If you've been losing weight without trying, feeling run down and noticing unusual itching, take a few minutes and log when it started, where the itching shows up, how your energy feels, and whether you've had any changes in appetite or digestion. Then bring that to your doctor and ask directly for blood work and imaging, including an ultrasound of the abdomen. You don't have to be pushy, just clear. These symptoms can be subtle but powerful when seen together. And here's something I want to leave you with. You deserve answers. You deserve to feel confident in your health, not confused or brushed off. And sometimes the smallest signs, like an itch or a loose waistband, are the very clues that help protect the life you've worked so hard to build. So listen to your body, speak up, and remember, even quiet symptoms matter when they all start pointing in the same direction. Let's take a moment for something that can sneak up quietly. When itching comes along with a yellowish tint in your skin or the whites of your eyes. Now, I know yellow skin can be subtle, especially if you have a naturally warmer skin tone or only see it in certain lights. But when it happens along with itching, especially if that itch is on your hands, arms, or soles of your feet, it's not something to brush off. In older adults, these signs may point to issues with the liver or bile ducts. As we age, our liver becomes more sensitive to inflammation, medications, or blockages. When bile, which helps break down fats, can't drain properly, it starts to build up in the bloodstream. That's when you get itching without a rash and skin or eyes that start to take on a yellow hue. It's not always cancer, But in some cases, especially when there's a tumor pressing on the bile ducts or liver tissue, these symptoms are your body's early warning system, and the earlier we catch it, the better. I remember a patient of mine, Robert. He was 70, a retired truck driver from Northern California. He came in for a routine follow-up after being treated for high blood pressure, and near the end of the visit, he casually mentioned something about itchy palms. I asked how long it had been going on. He said a few weeks, and he'd started noticing a little yellowing in the mirror when he shaved. His wife had pointed it out too, but he figured it was just the lighting. There was no pain, no stomach trouble, and he felt fine otherwise. But to be safe, I ordered liver function tests and an ultrasound. The results showed a small mass in the head of his pancreas pressing on the bile duct. It was diagnosed as early-stage cholangiocarcinoma, a rare cancer, but one that often shows up exactly this way. Robert had surgery within a few weeks, followed by treatment, and today, 2 years later, he's doing remarkably well. He still sends me postcards from his road trips, and he always jokes that it was itchy hands that got him back on the road. 1. Of the simplest things you can do, and what I often suggest, is to keep a close eye on any changes in your skin tone, especially around your eyes and the palms of your hands. If you notice itching that doesn't go away and start seeing yellowing, take it seriously. Ask your doctor to run liver function tests and order an ultrasound of your abdomen. It's quick, painless, and can offer real answers. Don't wait until you feel sick. These symptoms can show up before any pain or fatigue, and that's your chance to act early. You know, we often associate the color yellow with brightness, sunshine, warmth, summer, but in this case, it can be your body's quiet way of waving. A yellow flag, not a stop sign, just a signal to slow down and take notice. You don't have to be afraid of what you might find. You just have to believe that you're worth the checkup, because you are. And even something small, like a change in color or a bit of itching, can be the beginning of taking better care of the life you've built. Let me finish with one more sign that often gets overlooked. When itching only shows up on one side of your body and seems to get worse after physical activity, stress, or sweating. It might sound odd, but I've seen this pattern enough times to know it's worth paying attention to. Most of us think of itching as something that spreads, that comes with a rash or allergy, or that responds to creams or a cool shower. But when it only affects one side, say just your left arm or one side of your torso, and when it seems to flare up after you've been walking outside or even just feeling warm, that's your nervous system sending a very specific signal. As we get older, our skin becomes more reactive, and our sweat glands may behave differently. But certain cancers, including those affecting the skin, lymph nodes, or even the nerves themselves, can cause what's called localized pruritus. That's just a fancy term for one-sided itch without an obvious cause. It doesn't mean something terrible is happening, but it does mean we need to check under the hood. I had a patient named Linda, 69, from San Antonio, Texas. She came to see me with a strange complaint. She said that every time she went for her morning walk, she'd get an intense itching sensation along the left side of her stomach, just under her ribs. It didn't happen indoors. It didn't happen at night, only when she got hot or was under stress. She tried changing her detergent, her body wash, even switched to cotton shirts. Nothing helped. She wasn't in pain, but the itch was driving her nuts. I remember she said, "It's like something under my skin starts buzzing." I took that seriously. We did a full dermatological exam, checked for shingles and other nerve-related skin conditions, but when nothing showed on the surface, I referred her to a specialist for a biopsy of the affected area. A few weeks later, the results came back. Early-stage cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, a rare form of skin cancer that can hide under healthy-looking skin for months. Luckily, we caught it early, and after a course of treatment and follow-ups, Linda's doing great. She still walks every morning, just with better sunscreen and a little more awareness. I've seen similar stories with another patient, Jerry, 72, from Colorado Springs. His itch was only on his right thigh, always after gardening. Same process, same early detection, same good outcome. What often helps in cases like these is to pay close attention to patterns and triggers. If you've been dealing with an itch that only appears on one side, especially when you're warm, moving, or under stress, start a small journal. Jot down what time of day it starts, what you were doing, and how long it lasts. That helps your doctor rule out surface causes and focus on deeper ones, and if it keeps coming back with no rash or visible irritation, ask about getting a referral to a dermatologist or neurologist who specializes in skin-nerve connections. And I'll leave you with this. Your body doesn't pick a side at random. If something keeps happening only on one side, it's worth listening to. Don't brush it off. The signals may be small, but the information they give us can be life-changing, and you absolutely deserve to know what's going on. Not later, but now. You're not being dramatic, you're being wise. And that's how we stay one step ahead. If even one of these signs felt familiar to you, don't be alarmed, but don't brush it off either. Leave a comment and let us know what resonated. You might help someone else notice something important about their own body just by sharing. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe and tap the bell so you won't miss new videos that are here to help you stay healthy and confident about the future. You're not alone. You're stronger than you think, and life keeps going when you hold it by the hand.